Hey, what's up? And welcome to Yoga with Rachel, and also welcome to your 20-minute yoga class for the core and the booty. Today's class will be both swift and energizing, so move through this class at a pace that feels good for you. So that means taking breaks as needed and have some fun with it. All right, let's get started. We begin today's practice on the back. And when you arrive there, take a full body stretch. Point through your feet, stretching the tops of your feet, spread through your fingers, arch the back body, and yawn if that feels good. Lovely. Place your hands at your sides, palms facing down, and then walk your feet in towards your bum, knees point towards the sky. Your feet are about hip distance apart. Let's warm up the core with some pelvic tilts. Start off by rocking your pelvis forward, your belly button hugs in towards the spine, hip points shine towards the back edge of the mat. When we do this action, the low back connects with the mat, meaning that there is no gap between your back body and your mat. And now relax that, allowing your low back to arch slightly due to the natural curvature of the spine. I now invite you to continue these pelvic tilts on your own time, perhaps already feeling some work taking place in the core. Lovely. Allow the low back to relax for a moment. Now hug your knees in towards your chest. Place your hands on your knees and then stack your knees over your hip points. Scoop your tailbone up or rock your pelvis forward so that way your low back connects with the earth. In order to make the most out of this next exercise, it is super important to keep the low back flush to the mat. Now lift your shins so that way they are parallel to the sky. Arms and hands rest at your sides. Breathe in. Breathe out to slowly lower your right toes to the earth. Breathe in to bring the right knee back over your hip. And then breathe out to lower your left toes to the ground. Breathe in to come back to start. And then breathe out to dip your right toes towards the ground. Breathe in to start. Breathe out to dip the left toes. And then breathe in to come back to start. I invite you to take this away at your own time. Connect breath to action as you move. And remember to keep your low back pressing into the mat in order to make the most out of this movement. A visual that may be useful here is imagining that you are dipping one set of toes into water at a time. Okay, even it out. And then we will meet with both knees stacked over the hips once again. With control, slowly lower both feet to the earth. The soles of your feet connect with your mat, with the knees pointing towards the sky. Walk your feet in towards your hips. Feet are about hip distance apart, and your arms remain at your sides. Inch your fingertips closer towards your heels. On your next breath in, press into your foundation as you slowly begin to peel your tailbone away from the earth, lifting your hips towards the sky. Bridge pose. Can you feel your leg and glute muscles turn on here? And then breathe out to slowly lower back down to the earth. Spine connects with the ground. Breathe in to lift your hips towards the sky. Feel free to continue to hang out in this traditional bridge pose, or you can play around with hugging your right knee in towards your chest, keeping your hips lifted away from the ground, and then send your right foot to the sky, point through your toes. All good if there is a generous bend in that extended leg. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to lower your bum closer towards the earth, still hovering away from the ground. Breathe in to lift your hips. Leg remains extended. And then breathe out to lower slightly. One more round. Breathe in to lift. And then breathe out to lower slightly. Breathe in to lift. And then breathe out to lower your right foot to the earth. we find ourselves in bridge pose once again. Breathe in here. And now everyone lower back down to the earth, the spine receiving a gentle massage. All right, breathe in to lift your hips towards the sky. Option to stay here, or you can hug your left knee in towards your chest, and then send the left foot to the sky. Point through your toes. Let's marry breath to action. Breathe in. Breathe out to lower the hips down slightly. Breathe in to lift your hips. Breathe out to lower down slightly. Breathe in to lift. Feel your power. And then breathe out to lower down a bit. Breathe in to lift. And then we breathe out to release the left foot to the ground. We meet in bridge pose for a breath cycle. On your next breath out, begin to slowly lower your hips down to the earth. Awesome job. Take a loving breath in, and then a loving breath out through the mouth or the nose. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Place your hands on your hamstrings. Connect to your center as you begin to rock and roll the length of your spine a few times. If this rock motion isn't your thing, come through fetal position and then to a seat on your mat. Eventually, we make our way to a cross-legged seat on the mat. Place your hands on your kneecaps. And now let's draw some circles with the torso, breathing in to come forward, and then breathing out to continue your circle, rounding through the back body, chin towards the chest. Breathe in to come forward, heart lifts, chin reaches towards the sky. Breathe out to round through the back body, belly button hugs in. I invite you to continue these torso circles at a pace that feels good for you. We are warming up the spine and continuing to warm up the core muscles, bringing about energy to the entire body. Feel free to reverse your circle. Keep your sit bones connected to the earth as you move, keeping your base, your foundation, strong and connected. All right, allow your circles to become smaller and smaller until eventually we find ourselves sitting tall through the spine. Place your feet out in front of you on your mat, about hip distance apart, knees point upwards. Now place your hands on the backs of your thighs. Loop your shoulders and lift your heart. Breathe in. Breathe out to lean back. Keep your heels resting on the ground. Option to stay here, or you can lift your feet away from the ground, bringing your shins parallel to the sky. Flex through your feet. Breathe in here. And then on your next breath out, reach your hands forward, actively reaching towards the top edge of your mat. Keep your heart lifted, engage that core as it may be tempting to round through the back body here. Option to hold this boat pose variation, or you can straighten through the right leg, reaching your foot towards the top edge of your mat. Imagine that you're pushing something away with your right foot. And then come back to start. Then extend through the left leg, and then make your way back to the starting position. I invite you to continue to play around with extending one leg at a time. A kind reminder to keep a lift in your chest and that beautiful breath flowing. Wherever you are, even it out. And then we meet back in a boat pose variation. We breathe in together. And then on the breath out, lower your feet to the earth. Let's take a brief rest here. Wrap your arms around your shins. Breathe in. Breathe out to bow your head, chin to chest as you go inward. Feel free to find a gentle and loving sway from side to side. Perhaps you play around with deepening your breath, feeling that lateral expansion in your rib cage on the inhale, and then the softening that takes place on the exhale. All right, lift your head, cross your ankles, and now let's make our way to all fours. Let's find a tabletop position, stacking the wrists under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Spread your fingers as you press your knuckles and fingertips into the earth. Tops of your feet ground down. Rock your pelvis forward, lengthening the tailbone towards the earth to find some length in the low back, just as we did for some of our floor work movements. Look down at your mat with the crown of your head reaching towards the top edge of your mat. Establishing a strong base is super important for this next posture and movement. Now extend through your right leg, reaching your right foot towards the back edge of the room. Your leg is parallel to the earth. Dial your toes down to try to level out the hips. Press into the top of your left foot to keep you grounded. Breathe in. Breathe out to reach your left hand forward, thumb towards the sky. Hug the belly button in towards your spine to avoid arching the low back. There's an option to stay here, or you can find some baby pulses, lifting and lowering your right leg and left arm slightly. We are building strength, toning up, and testing our balance. You got this. Gorgeous. Lower and release, finding your tabletop position. Send your left leg out long. Imagine that you're pressing the sole of your foot into a wall, and then dial your toes down. Your heel is roughly in line with your hip. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to reach your right hand forward, spread through your fingers. Option to stay here holding this posture, or you can find some baby pulses once again. Pay attention to your low back. Keep the belly button and the low ribs hugged in towards the spine. Great. Lower and release, tabletop position. Step both feet towards the back edge of your mat. Create a beautiful line of energy from your heels to the crown of your head. Press away from your mat, shoulder blades move from left to right, heels reaching back. Breathe in here, and then on your breath out, send your hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out to begin to shift forward, coming up onto your tiptoes, rolling through your spine, and then back to a high plank. Breathe in, and then breathe out to come back the way you came, finding your downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out to journey back to a high plank. Breathe in, and then on the breath out, begin to shift forward, bending at your elbows, and then slowly lower down onto your belly. When you arrive there, untuck your toes, rock your pelvis forward so that way your pubic bone connects with the earth. Your arms run along the side of your body, palms facing down. Breathe in. And then as you breathe out, keep your pubic bone pressing into the earth as you lift your chest, arms, and legs away from the ground. Legs and arms hover away from the earth. This is a yummy one for building strength in the back body. Tuck in your chin slightly and look down and past your nose. You got this. We are here for 3 breath cycles. Wonderful. Lower and release. Place your hands so that way they are in line with your rib cage. Curl your toes under, and then lift your kneecaps away from the ground. Hug your belly button in towards your spine. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to press up to a high plank. There's an option to stay in this plank hold, or you can bring your right hand to your left shoulder, and then your right hand returns to the ground. Left hand taps opposite shoulder, and then returns back to the earth. I invite you to continue these shoulder taps, doing your very best to keep your hips as still as possible as you shift your weight from side to side. So really brace your core. Wherever you are, even it out. And then lower down onto your forearms. Interlace your fingers, elbows remain stacked underneath your shoulders, and lower your bum down slightly. Option to stay here or explore some hip dips. So play around with dipping your hips to the right. The right hip does not need to touch the ground. And then come back through center and then take it over to the left side, and then back to center. Continue dipping those hips, keeping the core engaged and squeezing the glutes as you do this action. This is a really great exercise for the obliques. Okay, make your way back to center. Breathe in. Breathe out to lower your knees to the earth. You can sit back towards your heels for a brief rest and to reconnect with your breath. You are doing awesome. Not much longer to go now. You got this. Let's make our way back to a tabletop position. Breathe in. Breathe out to lift your right knee away from the earth, and then send the sole of your foot towards the sky, donkey kick. Squeeze your glute. Draw your right knee back underneath your hip, still lifted away from the ground, and then open your right knee off to the side, hydrant dog. Squeeze. And then straighten through your right leg as if you are doing a side kick. And then bend at that knee, coming back to start. Right knee is under your hip once again. I invite you now to repeat this sequence for a few more rounds on your own time. This is a really great exercise for the booty, so hopefully you can feel that burn. All right, eventually we lower that right knee back to the earth so that way we can take it on over to the other side. So find your donkey kick on the left side and then draw your left knee under your hip, open your left knee off to the side, hydrant dog, and then extend through the left leg and then make your way back to the starting position. Again, keep this action going, breathe through this exercise, allow the breath to guide your movements. Awesome. Eventually lower your left knee to the earth. Now bring your big toes together, walk your knees towards the long edges of your mat. Walk your hands forward as you send your sit bones towards your heels. Breathe in. Breathe out to release your chest, forearms, and forehead to or towards the earth in extended child's pose. Another option is to find a comfortable seat on your mat, or you can lay on your back with your knees hugged in towards your chest. I invite you to take at least 5 loving breath cycles here to encourage the body to cool on down after this heated practice. All right, press into all that is touching the earth. Breathe in. Breathe out to lift your head away from the ground, look forward, and then rise on up. Everyone, make your way to a cross-legged seat. When you get there, release your fingertips to the earth. On your next breath in, send your hands to the sky. Follow your hands and look up. As you breathe out, bring your palms together and then to your heart. Bow your head. Take note of how you feel physically or maybe even energetically. Consider which postures or movements felt best in your body today. Finally, thank yourself for showing up and doing the work. I hope that the core and booty got a really good workout in there today. Let me know how this class went for you in the comments. And if you did enjoy this class, please give this video a thumbs up so that way this class and my channel can reach more people. Let's take a final breath in through the nose together. And then breathe out through your mouth. Thank you for being here. Namaste.